Welcome to the IREL podcast. Are you sick and tired of real estate gurus pitching their next free construction deal, only to find out years later they were completely wrong? Worried the next overseas conference you spend thousands to attend will only be used to sell overpriced lots in deserted developments? Join thousands of other international real estate seekers who are looking for their place in paradise without the sales pitch. Straight from your host, Taylor White.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of the IREL podcast. I am your host, Taylor White. We have an absolutely fantastic and extremely detailed show today with Jaco and Kanter from properties in Costa Rica and Dominical Costa Rica, and we will get down and dirty with the Dominical real estate scene and have you coming away wanting to investigate its local property market further or cross it off your shortlist entirely and continue listening. Right now from Josh, you will learn why he passed on the more well-known expat communities of Jaco and Tamarindo and why he believes you could do the same. What constitutes properties located inside the Maritime zone and then how those are different than fee simple titled properties. Where the heck Dominical is even located on a map of Costa Rica and what lies all around it. The exact types of properties Josh is recommending today and explains what suitcase ready means and how you can profit. Breaks down strategies to get money together to buy Dominical real estate and shares data on what percentage of buyers pay with cold, hard cash. And much more. And don't forget, if you are listening to this podcast and want to grab Josh's contact details, links on buying or selling Dominical real estate, or any other show notes, head on over to irelpodcast.com/6. That's irelpodcast.com/6. Get out your pen and paper. Josh is about to break down Dominical real estate like you have never heard. In case you can't tell, I'm excited. Let's get Josh on the phone. Hey Josh, it's Taylor White. I'm excited to have you on the IREL podcast today, straight from Dominical, Costa Rica. So we can get to know you personally. Tell us about yourself and where your stomping grounds were before you ended up in Dominical.
Hey Taylor, thanks for having me today. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, especially about our area that some people might not know so well. I am a Florida boy that was raised there since age 4 and was born in California, so I've always been a warm weather person and lived in Orlando, grew up there, spent a lot of time on the lakes and beaches growing up. So I've always loved water sports, which is pretty much what brought me to Costa Rica. Our first trip was in '98, and my dad and I came down with some buddies on a surf trip. And I was still in high school at the time, but we kept coming here all through college and grad school. And I went to the University of Florida and also graduated from the Crummer Graduate School of Business at Rollins College. So just kept coming down as much as I could. And we were down one time, I think I was still in college, and we were having breakfast at a spot near Jaco in Playa Hermosa. And reading through one of those like free tourism publications, there was an article about this small beach town called Dominical. And the title read, "Locals Cut Down Trees to Stop Tourism." So I basically looked over at my dad and said, we got to go there, They don't even want us to see how cool it is down there. So we started heading down, and once we got south of Capos, the roads were just terrible, like potholes as big as a car, and these wood bridges. So we get to this first 2x4 wood bridge, and we pull over, like we can't be on the right road, but it's the only road around, and just sitting there for like 15 minutes, and all of a sudden this semi-truck comes hauling by and goes over the wood bridge, and we go, all right, let's keep going, see where this goes. Anyway, we get to Dominical, it's pouring rain, and needless to say, we got a flat tire. So I make a deal with my pops. I say, listen, I'll change the tire in the mud and the rain if you go patch it, and I get to go surfing later. So change the tire, all muddy, filthy. He goes to change it. Weather clears up, sun comes out. It's probably like 4:30 in the afternoon. Paddle out to go surfing all through sunset. And then all of a sudden, this group of dolphins show up in the water. And they're swimming around in the waves and surfing with us. And that's pretty much when it hit me that this was my favorite place on earth. And we kept coming back to Dominical every year for the following years. And I eventually moved here full time in 2005.
Wow, that's great, Josh. I was actually born and raised in California as well, which is a beach spot in Southern California, and I could definitely see how you ended up in Costa Rica. And so we can get a better idea of you professionally, give us your brief resume leading up to you working at properties in Costa Rica.
Okay, well, right before I moved down, I finished grad school. I got my MBA in International Business, and I was going to start this business in Orlando. That's where I'm from. And so, this dream of living in paradise and living in Costa Rica almost really never happened for me. So I went in between the 2 years and I learned my uncle's business, which is a pool chemical delivery, like cleaning supplies to companies and big YMCA pools and stuff in Atlanta. So I figured there were more pools in Orlando and it could work. But that same summer I came down and I also spent a month in Dominical at this house we had picked up. We got a great deal on the year before. And during this visit, since I was here a month, I ended up meeting my future wife, and I think that kind of helped influence some of my later decisions. But after grad school, instead of starting that business, I went down to Dominical to see if I could, find an opportunity. And at the time, things were really booming as far as real estate, and I started looking at real estate, and I found this 40-acre farm with ocean view about, 45 minutes south of Dominical. And by farm, I just mean like an overgrown pasture, like 30 years overgrown pasture, which is basically just jungle down here.
Right.
So you kind of had to hike around and chop around and see what you got. So I ended up getting that instead of buying a delivery truck and rent warehouse space. But it ended up being a great decision because we sold it like a year and a half later for quite a bit of profit because things were still doing really well at the time. And in the course of that time, I started helping other people, hey, you know about property, show me some property. And it just naturally, me and a buddy started a small real estate company. And when times were good and sales were easy to make, life was good. So fast forward to 2007, 2008, and the crisis hits, recession hits. Things down here ended up grinding to a halt. We kind of trailed the U.S. market. People were reluctant to believe that the recession was going to last as long as it did. But then they started getting in trouble there, and they started fire selling their homes here or their second property. This was obviously the first thing to go before someone's going to lose their house in the States or Europe or Canada. So we really have seen prices drop like 40 to 60% off their 2007 highs. And so times were tough. I ended up going on my own just because we weren't really making it. And as things started to pick up a little bit in 2012 and really get going, I got a call from my buddy Rod at Properties in Costa Rica. And we were chatting, and they ended up offering me a job because they were so busy. And I started thinking, I'm on my own, and it's okay, but if they're so busy they need help, there must be something to that. So, and they didn't want to train someone new, and I knew the properties in the area, so it was just a natural fit. And I came over here to Properties in Costa Rica, and it's one of the most established real estate companies in Costa Rica. They have pretty much the best online presence I've seen. And I joined the team over a year ago and never looked back. Been super, super busy.
Great, Josh. Listeners and I love the detailed breakdown. Now, we are getting more familiar with who you are, both on a personal and professional level. Let's start to dig into your journey just a little bit. Take us back to your mindset. What were some of the reasons why you decided to look at other countries to begin with years ago? And then maybe which countries you were considering before choosing Costa Rica?
Well, the truth of the matter is I never really considered any other countries. Like I mentioned, I was going to live in Orlando, start that business, and just kind of work in the hustle and the rat race. And maybe one day, if I was lucky, I could sell that business for a profit, buy a little spot in Costa Rica, and retire here. So I just started thinking about, in 20, 30 years, who knows what the prices are going to be down there. So I said, why not just go for it now? And in the back of my head, I was like, well, if it doesn't work down here, I'll just move back to Orlando and start that business. So as we discussed, I'd already met the love of my life. So once I moved down here and started looking at real estate, we obviously got more serious, and that made things real easy to stay. And we eventually got married, had two beautiful daughters that were born here, and I really couldn't see myself anywhere else. I love raising my family here, and I love living here.
Josh, listeners and I are always fascinated to learn about which countries people have considered and why. Now, let's delve deeper into Costa Rica as a whole, and then why you chose Dominical in particular versus other popular CR locations like Jaco and Tamarindo.
All right, well, that's a really good question because, there are some other areas that are more popular. We used to go just to Hermosa near Jaco and then Tamarindo. That was like our trip every time. Go to Hermosa, spend a few days, go to Tamarindo. And that was until we discovered Dominical on that trip I told you about. And I loved Tamarindo. Between 1998 and 2000, It was a popular surf destination. It was still a pretty tranquilo town, and it just ended up getting too touristy. They opened a casino, they started to build condos, and it obviously got more crowded at the surf breaks. And then Jaco was never really for me. It was always a little too busy. We used to go to Hermosa, just south of Jaco. And over the years, that kind of became the Daytona Beach of Costa Rica, I call it, just because it's the closest to the capital. It's the easiest to get to. It's an hour away on the new toll road, so naturally high-rise condos, casinos, nightclubs, and that kind of stuff, just became part of the Jaco scene, which people do enjoy. I mean, there's people that love the amenities of Jaco and Tamarindo. You can get anything you want when you want it, and it's real comfortable for many retirees. But most of the people we work with down here are looking for a more peaceful area, surrounded by nature, like to see wildlife from their house, things like that. So to me, Dominical and the surrounding Costa Ballena are still the real Costa Rica. First of all, it's geographically gorgeous. There's lush rainforest-covered mountains that go directly into the ocean. This creates dramatic views, so you can get up to these views really quick from the amenities of the towns, and you're still minutes to the beach, minutes to rivers, minutes to waterfalls. The jungle here has tons of wildlife. You'll be able to see white-faced howler monkeys, parrots, toucans, sloths, deer, everything just from your house. And we also have surfing beaches as well as calm swimming beaches. We got the Marina Ballena National Park in Novita, which is a protected 3-mile-long coast and has some of the most pristine, beautiful beaches in the country. There's this rock and sandbar formation they call the whale's tail. And from the mountains in Novita, it actually looks like a whale's tail. And at low tide, you can walk a kilometer out to sea and look back at the mountains. It's beautiful. And not to mention the outdoor activities we have for people to live healthy lifestyles. You can hike, river raft, bird watch, walk on the beach, surf, explore rivers, waterfalls, enjoy world-class sport fishing, zip line, or if you want to just relax, sit on the hammock on the porch in paradise. And then, it's not just all jungle and kind of remote living. We have tons of amenities. Here in Novita, where our office is, it's kind of becoming the commercial center of the southern zone. And, there's doctor, dentist, lawyer, big hardware stores, a Bridgestone, Firestone mechanic, restaurants, everything you need. And if you can't find it here, you just go over the mountain 45 minutes from Dominical, and you're in San Isidro, which is the third largest city in Costa Rica, and it's a bustling little town, and you can get everything you need there without having to go to the capital. And then also what we got going for us is it's easier to get here now than it was. There's a new toll road from San Jose, which you can get out to the coast in about an hour, and then it's another 2 hours down, so 3 hours versus what was 4.5 previously to get to the Dominical area.
Well, Josh, I haven't been to Dominical personally, although I lived in Panama for several years and took many visa runs to Costa Rica, nearby beaches to check it out, get stamped, and head back to Panama. So I can definitely relate to a few things about what you're talking about. And through my travels, I'm a firm believer in that I either get a place or I don't. Share with us some reasons why Dominical speaks to you.
Okay, well, obviously this is going to be different for every person, but it speaks to me. This takes me back to, there's a slogan from one of the original developers, and I think this is very true, and it still rings true to me today. He used to say, and this was like in all their literature, Dominical is not for everyone, and we like it that way. So basically, not everyone's going to like Dominical and its laid-back lifestyle. There's many people accustomed to the I want it now attitude, and they can't handle that things take a little longer down here in paradise. And I myself, had to learn patience, but you just got to be able to kind of sit back and enjoy life and, take it for how it comes and enjoy yourself. And having said that, though, we do have plenty of amenities like I talked about here in Novita and Dominical, and tons of nice, fine restaurants. And it's not like you're just going to be in the jungle with nothing to do or not being able to get any products that you want. So for me, the other main draw to Dominical is the community. Expats, locals, they get along, they live here in harmony. Everyone around here loves nature. Most people are environmentally conscious. During days that there's local events or a farmer's market, you'll see everyone kind of get together and enjoy everyone's company. And for us personally, a big reason why we love it here is there's 2 great private bilingual schools. So our daughters go to one of these schools, and it's much easier to raise a family here without, sacrificing your kids' education, which is a concern for a lot of families.
Absolutely.
And having lived here over 8 years, There's been some changes. It's grown. Avita's grown. Dominical has grown a little bit, but it's still very charming. It's still real similar to the first time I saw it. And the mountains here are, kind of steep and covered in jungle, so that kind of helps deter overdevelopment like in some other areas and makes people kind of spread everything out. You can't really do real small lots and cookie cutter homes all next to each other. And, my hope is in the future our area continues to develop sustainably and, maintain some of its charm that made everyone fall in love with this place.
Josh, we have gotten to know you both personally and professionally, reasons why you chose Costa Rica and why Dominical speaks to you. Now, it's time for us to pick your brain on the local real estate scene. And to get the juices flowing, we're going to do a quick round of what I like to call the real estate hot seat. We'll ask you 5 rapid-fire questions, and you give me an answer in 15 seconds or less each. Josh, are you ready for the Dominical hot seat?
Ready. Hot seat. Here we go.
Awesome. What currency is real estate priced in?
Well, U.S. dollars. Pretty much everything here is done in dollars. Once in a while, we'll get a local seller that wants to sell their farm or something, and they'll price it in colones, but we always convert it for the website and for contracts for our buyers.
Is owning property as a foreigner legal?
Of course. Foreigners have the exact same property rights as local Costa Ricenses for title property. You can own property in your name or under a holding company. Most of our clients use a holding company just for liability reasons, ease of doing business, like setting up your electric bill, your phone bill, your internet bill, and setting up bank accounts.
Can property be titled?
Yes, of course. Actually, most all property in Costa Rica is fee simple title, and you own it outright and do anything you want with it. This is all the property outside the Maritime zone. The Maritime zone is the first 200 meters from the median high tide mark. So basically, property that's direct beachfront or within this 200-meter strip along the coast is concession, which is not titled, and it's leased 20 years at a time. But since this is rapid fire, we won't go into that. Just know that as long as you're not right on the beach, you can get fee simple title property.
Can money flow in and out of Costa Rica easily, or are there currency restrictions?
No, it's super easy. As long as the money is coming from a legal source, which obviously most of our buyers it is, or all of our buyers, we don't really work with anyone that's not doing things right. You have to use an internationally registered and certified escrow company. So very much like the States or Canada or Europe, you have an escrow account, and as long as you fill out their forms and prove the funds, you can send your deposit and your closing funds without any concerns.
And as the listeners know, my number one question, what is your favorite local drink, Josh?
Well, for me personally, nothing beats an ice-cold Coca-Cola in a glass bottle, because down here they use real sugar cane. But I know others that really like the cold pipas, which is like the green coconuts they have in coolers at the beach or some of the parking lots around, and they stick a straw right in it. And I'm not much of a drinker, but there's some really good local beers called Imperial and Pilsen, a couple of microbreweries now that are doing some good beers, and of course the local rums.
Okay, Josh, you can now relax, but just a little bit, as you were off the Dominical hot seat. But it's time to zero in on the local real estate scene. Give us your brief synopsis on the Dominical real estate market over the last few years, where it is today, and then where you see it heading for the next few years.
Okay, well, in the years following the recession, which was basically 2008 to 11, it was tough. Fire sales and unique properties were the only things selling. But I'd say in the last 18, 24 months, it's really picked up. We've seen a spike in home sales more than anything. Many high-end luxury homes, people that are either wanting to get their money out of the States or just kind of want to have a place for when they retire. For instance, most of our clients are either retired or 5 to 10 years out, and they want that turnkey home that they can enjoy right away and just come down and start using. We also, these days, are seeing more and more young families that are kind of looking to an alternative lifestyle and a different place to raise their families. For the future, I personally, and us here at Properties in Costa Rica, have high expectations, especially for this year. Last year was the best we've seen in our area since 2007. And the amount of inquiries and visitors we got coming this year is just even more so than last year. Dominical Vita is getting more and more discovered, especially we call it Costa Ballena, which is sort of Manuel Antonio down to, I'd say, San Buenas, Palma Norte. And it was actually voted or named hottest travel destination for 2013 by travelandleisure.com, which
Wow.
is incredible to me for such a little place. And there's even plans about 45 minutes south of here for the third international airport. But, that's one of those believe it when I see it kind of scenarios.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're still in the study phase. The government obviously sees the Southern Pacific Zone as one of the last tourism frontiers, and there's the Corcovado National Park in the Osa Peninsula, which National Geographic called one of the most biodiverse places on the planet.
Wow.
And that'll be the main draw, plus, Vita with the Marina Ballena National Park, Dominical, and then, of course, the Manuel Antonio, just to the north of us, is the most visited park in all of Costa Rica. That'll all be serviced by this airport if and when, they build it. As an example, that road from Quepos that I talked about in the beginning, it was just terrible. They paved that about 3 years ago, and that was 25 years in the making. So, you never know. We may see some 747s flying out in 5 to 10 years. But in my opinion, whether that happens or not, I, believe in the Costa Ballena area around Dominical, and I think it's some of the best investment opportunity in Costa Rica. It's, one, not nearly as developed as other areas, so you got the most upside coming. Still reasonable prices compared to some other areas like up north or Manuel Antonio that are more developed. It's gaining popularity and recognition. The sheer natural beauty, laid-back lifestyle, great community. All of these sort of combine, I think, for the perfect storm, so to speak, of why real estate values here will increase over the next few years.
Josh, you have us sold on Costa Rica as a country, Dominical as a location, and then its real estate outlook within the near future. Of course, you don't have a crystal ball. I sure as heck don't. No one does. But that is why I think it's so vitally important to get on-the-ground insight from local real estate professionals. And yes, I just used the words local and on-the-ground in the same sentence to drive home a very important fact. Josh, you are not some newsletter writer who might spend a few days in Dominical and then send out emails with hot buys, calling yourself an international real estate guru. You are there in the trenches on a daily basis, dealing with local buyers, sellers, agents, lawyers, and every facet of the real estate business. Josh, break this down even further for us. Pretend you are Google Maps or Google Street View. What streets, neighborhoods, or parts of the city are we talking about in Dominical?
All right, well, that's a great question because, Dominical's not just Dominical. It's not just the beach town of Dominical. And I think It's important for your listeners to kind of know there's some different areas, and it's all sort of spread out. What I mentioned before, the Costa Ballena, which translates to whale coast, and got its name from the migrating whales that go up and down. They have their babies down in the Gulf of Dorsey, and then they return. I mean, you can literally see these whales from some of the homes and properties we show. That's just a real spread out area. It takes about, I'd say, an hour to drive from Manuel Antonio all the way down to like the furthest edge of the Costa Ballena. So I'd like to, take a few minutes, and hopefully your listeners will bear with me to kind of explain the different areas and what each different area offers.
Yeah, please do.
All right. So first you got Dominical, which is a beach town, and it's still real similar to the first time we pulled into it so many years ago, and it's maintained its charm. Communities around Dominical are Escaleras and Lagunas. And when I say community, I'm not talking about, like these large gated master plan communities, but rather entire mountainsides that over the years were sold off in large parcels, sold off in lots. People built homes. Some people bought a large parcel, put maybe a few lots there and sold them off, etc. So Escaleras are the mountains right behind Dominical. So when you see online this home's in Escaleras, that's where it is. And this is probably the most valuable real estate because it's got some of the best views. It's where the mountains come the closest to the ocean. You can be at the beach and restaurants in under 10 minutes. And, it's pretty much right there.
Right.
And the views are just absolutely dramatic. And then Lagunas is another mountainside that's close to Dominical. That's where I personally live. And you get up there and you can get views looking back kind of northwest. And you see the coastline all the way up to Manuel Antonio, and we get year-round sunsets, so it's gorgeous as well. And those are probably the two most established, I'd say, valuable neighborhoods, so to speak, in our area. You're close to everything. You get some elevation quickly off the coast, and you get the cooler breezes for nighttime temps and stuff like that. Tons of wildlife, obviously, and in fact, all these areas that we're going to talk about right now have tons of wildlife. You'll see toucans and parrots daily, and you'll spot monkeys, and it's really cool to actually be immersed in so much nature. The next area, I would say about 15 minutes south of Dominical is Vita. And as we briefly talked about earlier, it's kind of becoming the commercial center. There's two large supermarkets, all the banks, pharmacies, doctors, dentists, et cetera, and the national park with the whale sail that we talked about.
Right.
So you get the protected beaches. It's beautiful. That same whale's tail is the main feature from the homes and properties that we sell in the mountains here, because you can actually look over it and you see it. At low tide, you see it clearly. At high tide, you see breaking waves over it. So it's one of those changing views versus just kind of looking out into the blue ocean. And then the next town south of Uvita is called Ojochal, which is another 15 minutes down the road. And this was one of the first expat villages. It was established in the early 90s. And it was established by some French-Canadian developers. It's about 30 minutes south of Dominical. But today it's kind of become a real melting pot of international residents from America, Canada, Europe, etc. And that's brought with it great restaurants. Like there's a French bakery. There's a place called Citrus and Exotic, which are amazing. There's a real Italian place called Mama and Papa. There's a Mediterranean-influenced restaurant called Azul. And there's even Balinese food. So it's a great place, even if you don't live in Ojochal, so you live in Uvita or Dominical, you kind of go down there for dinner on special occasions and just have a really nice meal. And the closest beaches there are called Playa Tortuga, which has a turtle refuge, turtle beach, and Playa Ventanas, and Ventanas means windows because it has 2 caves on it. And this is like a sandy kilometer cove with 2 caves on one end, and it looks like a postcard. It's a lot of people's favorite beach. Another town would be San Buenas, and this would probably be about 40 minutes south of Dominical. And this would kind of be your developing area, like your area of the future. They do have a golf course. They got 9 holes open now. They're working on the back 9. There's a fairly new hospital in Cortez, minutes from a lot of the properties. But down here, the mountains kind of pull a little bit away from the ocean, so the ocean views are a little more distant. You're overlooking some flat land before the ocean starts. But I can see this area, getting a little more popular and gaining some steam if they ever do build that airport, because it'll only be 20 minutes from the proposed site. And then the area between Dominical and Quepos, if you're on a map looking north from Dominical, there's towns called Monopolo and Hatillo, which aren't nearly as developed as some of the areas around Dominical or Uvita. They have gorgeous mountains with some wonderful ocean and coastline views. The beach in Monopolo is uncrowded. Beautiful postcard beach as well with a sandy beach. And I think that'll also be an area that'll fill in since this road got paved from Dominical to Quepos not too long ago. And then, of course, an area that a lot of your listeners will know well is Manuel Antonio and Quepos. It's about 30 minutes north of Dominical, and these are popular tourism and expat destinations for many years. Manuel Antonio, in fact, like we discussed, is one of the most visited national parks in Costa Rica. It has high historic real estate values just because there's not that much landmass in Manuel Antonio, and the views are amazing, and it's just, it's filled in over the years, and the homes there, the luxury homes, just do really well as vacation rentals, so obviously they're worth quite a bit. And Quepos just opened the Pez Vela Marina, which is one of the nicest in all of Costa Rica, and people will be able to go sport fishing right out of the marina there. But that's, to say if you were in Dominical, you couldn't keep a boat up there 30 minutes away and go fishing whenever you want. Because I feel, in my opinion, there's much better deals around Dominical, Uvita, kind of a little further south. And you can still visit Manuel Antonio and Quepos. But, there's other people that want to be there and they're willing to pay for it. And then if ocean view or being on the beaches and everything to you, we got some mountain towns called Plantanillo and Tinamastas, which are on the way to that city San Isidro I was telling you about.
Right.
They're a little more elevation. It's paved roads up because you go into the road to San Isidro and then you take little dirt roads off. And you can get a more bang for your buck there. I mean, it's cooler climate. You can get more land for your dollar. Not a lot of ocean view. When you do get it, it's a little distant and you're kind of overlooking the first range of mountains. There's some other properties up there, though, that just have spectacular mountain valley views. Others near Tinamastas where you get views of Diamante Waterfall, which is the largest in Costa Rica. And these are more like local quintessential Costa Rica towns. They've got the large church, they got the football or soccer field,
right.
Small supermarkets, the local style restaurants, and it's mostly locals with some expats mixed in. So everyone kind of is just immersing themselves in the culture of the community, and it's pretty cool. I actually lived in Plantanillo for 6 months when I first moved here. Like I said, it's a little more affordable. And then you're 30 minutes to the city, 20 minutes to the beach. And if you need more of a city lifestyle, but you still want some privacy and some rural country feeling, there's a bunch of mountain towns around San Isidro, which one, great climate and easy access to the city, and you're still only 45 minutes to an hour from the beach. So there's pretty much options for everyone in this area.
Wow, Josh, amazing breakdown. And now that we have specific locations in mind, what types of properties do you recommend? And first, let me give you a few brief examples of what I mean. Are we talking about buying pre-construction units for capital appreciation that we later flip? Are we talking about buying completed apartments, houses, or office spaces to generate rental income? Or are we talking about buying land to either sell as is or subdivide into smaller tracts? Josh, give us a better idea of what you're talking about and recommending today.
Okay. Well, the market today, as we touched on a little before, it's mostly finished homes. That's the hot market right now.
Right.
Most clients want that finished home, or what we call suitcase ready, where you literally just bring your suitcase and your toothbrush and a pair of flip-flops next trip, and you're ready to enjoy it. The vacation rental market's strong, so those same buyers, if they're a few years out from retirement, if they're not going to be full-time residents, they want to be able to rent it out when they're not here and make some money that way.
Right.
If you're purely looking for investment, I would say, maybe buy an ocean view lot and build a spec home, because our finished home inventories, I can see it getting low here over the next few years. There's just not as many finished homes as there are lots for sale. So, many of our buyers want that new construction. They want a nice new home. They like kind of modern designs.
Right.
So that would be, in my opinion, a more attractive alternative to buy and flip in an existing home and potential for more profit if you can get the lot for a good enough price. Because the lot market, it's been oversaturated the last few years. There was tons of lots. People came down and bought these farms. They developed the lots, and it's just a lot more lots on the market, like I said. So you can get a good deal on a lot. It's definitely still a buyer's market for lots, and a lot of people are scared to do that because they hear these horror stories about building. But we know a few respectable builders, and they've been around for years. And if you get the right team, it's easier to build than you think. So if you're looking to build your dream home, don't be nervous about it. You can come look at a bunch of lots and really beat them up on the price of it and get yourself a good deal.
Right.
And then other people, like developers, more per se developers, are looking for large parcels that they can subdivide, or maybe just two investors going in together could find a large enough property to split in two and each build a house. But for large development land, we got some of the best parcels around. Back in the good old days, like I talked about, people were buying these farms and cutting up ocean view lots, and they were selling them, $250 a pop, and it was easy, but not so much anymore. So I think we need to kind of sell through some of our homes and start selling some of these lots to really see the developers coming back and starting some more projects.
Okay, Josh, now I'm going to hit you up with a two-part question that I know everyone wants to know, and you have to give us a general range so we have some price points in mind. Okay. Here they are. Part 1. What would be the price range of what we are talking about? Maybe give us a starting price point at the low end to a final price point at the high end. And Josh, just to clarify, I'm talking about total purchase price.
All right. Well, there's quite a range down here, but I'd say starting under 200. You can get a nice mountain view house with great mountain views. Probably not ocean view, but you can definitely find some affordable homes. Probably on like an acre and a quarter. Medium price, nice ocean view homes, I'd say would be between $450, $550, and then of course we got the luxurious multi-million-dollar estates, from $1 million up to $3 million plus, and those homes for $3 million are straight out of Hollywood movies. You'd be impressed.
Wow.
For lots, you can find great deals. Mountain Valley View, again, no ocean view, but Mountain Valley View, 15, 20 minutes from the beach. You can get them for $50,000, and sometimes we can find them for less. For a good ocean view lot, though, you're looking at just over 100, maybe up to 175. And in order to get some acreage, like if you want, 5 acres, jaw-dropping, incredible ocean views, you're usually looking at the 200 to 250,000 price range. And then you can get for around 300 or over, it's just some of the best residential properties there are. I'm talking, 12 acres, multiple building sites, river, waterfall, ocean view. As far as large development parcels, that depends on the amount of infrastructure someone's going to have to put in, the location, the access. So I'd say for more remote, 350. I got like a 58-acre farm for 350 for sale right now, up to $9 million. There's some properties that have prime beachfront. It's a whole mountain going up from the beach that would just be the perfect high-end luxury community or resort. So we got low end, high end, and everything in between as far as that goes.
Right.
And then as far as total cost, keep in mind for your listeners, no matter what you buy, closing costs in Costa Rica are typically around 4%. This is usually split between the buyer and the sellers. So they can add about 2% to the purchase price. And purchase prices, the listing price you'll see online, keep in mind it's typical these days to negotiate maybe 10% off, sometimes even 20% off the actual list price. So a lot of those prices, don't let them scare you. Just if you come down, check it out and like it, doesn't hurt to make an offer and try to get them down lower. And then property taxes in Costa Rica are really affordable. They're, a quarter of 1%, 0.25% of the property value.
And then, Josh, a part two, what would be the cost per meter? Again, maybe a starting price point at the low end to a final price point at the high end.
Okay, this is a tough question, Taylor, because it's really comparing apples to oranges to bananas down here. I mean,
right.
Sometimes a house can be on multiple acres and have great view, easy access, thus worth much more than the exact same home. It's real remote with no ocean view. So I'd say for a finished home, affordable, lower-end homes, maybe 1,100 to 1,500 per square meter, which is 105 to 125 a square foot, and that's for the home, the land and everything. For upper, more luxurious homes, I'd say you're looking at 2,000 to 3,500 a square meter, even more if it's between $2 and $3 million. So that's about 185 per square foot up to 350 per square foot. For land, it's even tougher because the size, the usable amount of land, which is a big thing, because sometimes you can have a 5-acre lot with just a tiny building site. Other times you can have a huge building site on just an acre property, which will be worth more. The view obviously goes into the price, access, infrastructure, all those factors. So I'd say for large development parcels, it can be anywhere between $2 and $10 a square meter. For residential lots, it can vary quite a bit. I'd say good examples. We put a lot under contract just last week, and it was $110,000 for a very nice ocean view property of 8,000 square meters. So that's about 2 acres, and that went for $13.75 a meter. For larger lots, 30,000 to 50,000 square meters, so that's about 7.5 to 12.5 acres. It would be $5 to $10 a meter. And for smaller lots, like right on the beach, 1,000 to 2,000 meters, so it's looking at about a quarter to a half acre. Those are going for around $50 to $70 a square meter, just because they're smaller and they're close to town. And then commercial land, if anyone's looking for commercial land right on the coastal highway, $50 to $80 a square meter. Sometimes it could be even more if it's right in Uvita, like the center of Uvita, for example.
And Josh did an awesome job. But for listeners like me who are used to dealing in square feet, divide the number you hear by 10.76 or maybe just a flat 10 to keep it easy, and you get close enough numbers to get an idea of what Josh is referring to. Okay, Josh, this is a question I like to call, what would Grandma do? My grandma calls you up, says she has X amount of dollars to spend. You can't let my grandma down. Share with us 3 specific examples you would show her and explain why these make sense.
That's the best question yet. Let's see here. Well, honestly, if grandma's 90 years old or more, I'd probably recommend being close to one of the 3 hospitals in the area. We got 3 that are 30 to 45 minutes from Dominical, so maybe kind of focus in some areas like Quepos has a hospital, San Buenos has a hospital, and San Isidro does. But realistically, she might be better off in San Jose, near one of the top private hospitals in the country. They have nice luxury condos just because there are not really any condos in our area unless you're in Memo Antonio. If grandma's 65 to 80, she's still enjoying the active lifestyle, she'll love our area. She'll love Dominical Vita. I probably wouldn't show her, 5+ acre properties, 10 minutes up a dirt, bumpy gravel road, but I'd probably suggest we have these villas in a gated community across from the beach in Dominicalito, which is just south, 5 minutes from Dominical. They have security included, the road fees are included, all the water for monthly HOA fees, and these are available from $320,000 to $500,000. Also in Uvita, there's one luxury condo complex, but it's only 6 units. It's very small and super nice. There's 2 that come completely furnished, turnkey, and they're asking $449,000. And there's a couple projects that are coming online soon. One's breaking ground now, and another one's going to be in Uvita as well, just south, right by the beach, which are going to be low-grade villas, I'd say in the mid-300s.
Josh, we are laser focused on specific areas of Dominical. We know our starting price point. We have an idea of cost per meter. We have 3 specific examples which are good enough even for grandma. Now let me ask you an obvious question. How do we buy? Do we need to come in with all cash, whether that's from our checking account, home equity line of credit, or retirement funds? Or can we come in with a certain percentage down and get local financing from a bank or credit union?
All right, well, down here, in the past, all deals were cash, and that was the norm. But, times have changed, and especially with the economic circumstances around the world, and cash is still king if you can swing it, but a lot of people don't have all the cash. So what most buyers are doing is they're either getting a line of credit there in the States or Canada or wherever they're from and negotiating cash here to get a better price. And also seller financing is becoming a lot more common. That would be maybe putting 50% down and negotiating terms. Most sellers want to be paid in 2 to 3 years, 5 years max. They're not really interested in 15-year mortgages. But the beauty is, the interest rates, the balloon versus monthly payments, all these are negotiable items. And you obviously want to make sure you can make your payments because the property is the collateral and the seller would get the property back if you default. Also, another options we've seen some buyers lately use are self-directed IRAs, but those deals can be slightly more complicated, so have your listeners check with their financial advisor to see if their specific IRA is good for buying property overseas.
And then, Josh, I wanted to hit you up with a follow-up there just really quick. If off the top of your head you had to give us percentage, what percentage of people bought cash and what percentage used something other than cash, whether financing, seller carryback, etc.?
Well, last year I'd say half the deals we did were cash and the other half were some sort of IRA or seller financing.
Okay, great. Okay, awesome. Okay, Josh, anyone who has ever owned real estate can tell you need to have a money exit strategy in place even before you buy. It's something what I like to call, where's the cheddar? You are buying the property to do what with it to make some money. So, Josh, where's my cheddar?
Yes. The all-important cheese. You got to know where you're going to get that. Well, the good thing is down here prices are at their lowest point since before the boom. So I'd say, prices are around that 2005, 2006 level. So getting at this stage, that'd be step one, because you're obviously going to get a better price right now than you would have, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I really feel our area has a lot of potential for future profit gains compared to other more established or already developed areas of Costa Rica. For finished homes in desirable locations near the beach, you can rent them out. They're popular vacation rentals. You can put them on Vacation Rental by Owner, vrbo.com, homeaway.com. You can put them with us and other local offices to rent them out for you. That'll help mitigate all the costs associated with having a home in Costa Rica, and you can even produce income depending on how much time you're going to use it versus the time it's going to be in the rental pool. For those looking at lots for sale, you just want to get the best price you can. Since there are so many available, it's the true buyer's market, and prices, 40, 60% off what they were. They've come down quite a bit. You can still negotiate further. So you just kind of look at a handful of lots and pick the one you like and try to get the best price you can. And then if you're able to build a quality home on it, that puts in substantial equity right away. And if you ever do need an exit strategy or do need to sell, a finished home is going to sell a lot quicker than just a property. And also keep in mind, though, when you're looking for property, what other people will be looking for in the future. Meaning, like most of our clients, the first question is how much is the ocean view home or lot? Most of our clients want decent access. They want to be close to amenities, close to beaches. So don't limit your potential future buyers by purchasing something in the middle of nowhere with no views, because although you may love being immersed in the rainforest with tons of privacy, our average client is looking for ocean views, close to everything, yet with some natural surroundings, but definitely a little more convenient.
Josh, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to share with us about Dominical real estate. We have heard about your journey, why you chose Costa Rica, exact areas of Dominical to focus on, price points to look out for, specific examples good enough even for grandma, a money strategy to purchase, and then what we might do with it after the fact to make some cheddar. Unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye. But before we do, share with us easy ways to get a hold of you, any parting advice you might want to share, and then let's say goodbye.
All right. Well, first check out our websites, propertiesinCostaRica.com. Our local sites, propertiesindominical.com and dominicalproperty.com. You can email me at Josh, Josh, at propertiesinCostaRica.com. You can call me on our U.S. Magic Jack line, which actually rings right here in our office. That's 843-608-6586, 843-608-6586. And my advice would be for people to come down and check out the area and even check out other areas of Costa Rica to make sure you love it and you want to be here and settle here. Maybe come in the rainy season versus the dry season to see the differences. Rainy season here, we get plenty of sunshine. It's pretty much always sunny mornings, overcast afternoons. It'll either be a quick rain or sometimes it'll rain through the night. But, come see it for yourself. Finding real estate, that's easy. That's the fun part, But we want our clients to be truly happy and love where they live, love where they take vacations or where they end up retiring. And to me, that's the key of enjoying the Pura Vida.
Awesome, Josh. I have really enjoyed this conversation, straight from Dominical to our earbuds, and I hope we can catch up again in 3 to 6 months.
All right. Well, again, I want to thank you, Taylor, for the opportunity. I really appreciate being able to share a bit about myself in the Dominical area. And you should come down and check out Dominical too. And make sure you give me a call when you do, and take care, and hope to talk to you soon.
I want to thank Josh once again for his awesome take being on the ground in Dominical. Josh was one of the most detailed guests to date, breaking down the wheres, whats, and hows, and I can't wait to get him back on the show again soon with more specific Dominical real estate investments Josh believes you need to hear about right now. If you're listening to this podcast and want to grab Josh's contact details, links on buying or selling Dominical real estate, or any other show notes, head on over to irelpodcast.com/6. Are you a real estate agent like Josh with an amazing story you want to share? Do you have properties located in the world's most desired hotspots just waiting for buyers? Well, guess what? I want to help. Whether you're a Canadian in Mexico, a Brit in Spain, or an Aussie in Malaysia, or even an American in Costa Rica like Josh, I invite you to share it with my eager listeners. Head on over to irelpodcast.com/6 to get started. And together, we will share your story.
You have been listening to the IREL Podcast with Taylor White. Be sure to hit up irelpodcast.com for more. That's irelpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.